Today's world is full of opportunity and change. Yet, deep beyond the gills of our community lies a world of problems waiting to be solved. Problems too great for a community that doesn't have leaders that are up for the task. I remember as a teenager thinking there are no good leaders of today, and especially not in the church. And boy, was I wrong. You see, it was a close friend of mine who changed my thoughts by inviting me to a church service. How many times I turned him down, I'm not sure, but through his continued persistence and salesmanship, I finally decided to go. The service I would attend that day would change not only my idea about church and pastors, but would change the course of my life forever. The preacher of the evening was Thomas Dexter Jakes, also known as T.D. Jakes. It was after this encounter that I began to research who Mr. Jakes was and his amazing story on how he took a storefront church and changed it into a megachurch in the big state of Texas. His ability to paint a picture of redemption was a message that would surely empower the masses that hope is available to everyone. Had it not been for Thomas Jakes' ability to preach truth and love to the wounded, I'm not sure who I would be today. Today we will discuss T.D. Jakes' determination to empower a nation through the power of words. Next, we will see how his life has impacted the world through many different avenues. Finally, we will discuss his continued effort to inspire through writing books, preaching, and filmmaking. To begin, Thomas Jakes was born in 1957 in Charleston, West Virginia. Jakes would experience a childhood lifestyle of a small town that would present him with big challenges. Better yet, Jakes found himself like a seed planted in a garden of weeds that were waiting to choke out his potential at every chance. Being known in the neighborhood as the bad Bible boy, Jakes was told he would never preach due to a speech impediment. At the tender age of 10, Thomas Jakes would find out his father Ernest had developed kidney failure, circumstances that would leave his family spiraling as T.D. Jakes' mother would do her best to keep the family afloat while also caring for Ernest. While walking wearily through the despair of having to grow up fast, T.D. Jakes would develop the character and principle that would shape him into being one of the greatest leaders of our time. Thomas Jakes would go on to preach his first sermon in 1976 and would eventually be ordained by the church in 1979. Now that we've discussed Thomas Jakes' beginnings, we now look at his ministry. It was in the year of 1980, at the age of 23, that Jakes would start a church in Montgomery, West Virginia, named the Temple of Faith, a church that only had 10 members at the time and was a storefront. Yet in that storefront, Jakes would develop his gift as a preacher and pastor in a mighty way. It was his stark ability to encourage others through his preaching that would eventually lead the church to grow. Eventually, the church grew from the tens to the thousands, which would enable Jakes to finally quit his day job. Jakes' hard work and talents would soon land him on the front page of the Time magazine, several movie roles, and eventually even on the Oprah show. It was in the new wave of his success that Jakes felt called to move from the hills of West Virginia to the big state of Texas. He and 50 other church employees made the move to the state of Texas with the aspiration of completing a new vision, a move that would spur a plethora of opportunity in a variety of ministries. The move paid off big time as the church grew rapidly. The church now today has come a long way from a storefront to from tens to being ranked the 10th largest church in the United States, weekly servicing over 17,000 people. His ministry would lead him to writing over 50 books, 15 of which are New York Times bestsellers. To summarize, though his life hasn't been easy, Jake's life is a perfect example that we can rise from almost any circumstance and make a difference in the world today. The fact that the Potter's House, his church, has grown in numbers is a commendable to say the least, yet the truly commendable feat is his ability to change lives. I myself have had a front row seat at what it is like to be affected and impacted by this great leader. The truth is, the need for great leaders is at an all-time high today, but T.D. Jakes has taken the responsibility and taken a step to making a better world as he steps into pulpits every Sunday.